driving in the IMSA Prototype Challenge race as well, so he's got a really busy day, but he's done a nice job now. He's just done his best lap of the race and he's in the lead of the motor race.
And for Cameron Castles right now, he will be relishing this moment, especially to take the tape home to his daughter, who's just started go-kart racing and is already faster than he is, which he talks about all the time. Says, I can't tell her that, but he's very proud of his kids. He frequently takes them go-kart racing.
Yeah, very cool. Really nice guy.
Yeah.
And you know, he's taking this racing very, very seriously. Just looking now, though, the 71 car has just come past to complete lap 12. He moves up into second position overall. He'll take over the lead when Cameron Castles pits, which will be yes, at the end of this lap. He might be able to do one more lap. Where is he? He's coming down the hill now. I think he'll be in this time around to make his pit stop, and that will put JC Perez back in the lead of the race. But Taylor Proto in car number 50 is chasing him down.
Why is the number 1 still showing is in the pit lane, Jeremy? That's very odd. The car that came in from the lead is now 2 laps down, so something has gone awry in their pit stop. That's very odd. Cameron Castles does pit, so JC Perez leads. Taylor Proto on fire right now. He has gone 4/10 quicker than what JC Perez did through Sector 1 alone. And Taylor Proto, who's 2.5 seconds off the lead, wants the overall leader to be a pro car, much like Trent Hinman did earlier on. And that 50 machine did look racy with Eduardo Piscopo off the start. Randy Solari's still out on track as well, and the number 10 is yet to pit. And then Brandon Godovic is the next car on track, second in the pro category and 5th overall right now, but that will move him up into 3rd. Look at Taylor Proto, blistering sector times.
Yeah, new fastest lap last time around. Taking advantage of these slick tires he will be on now. 49.38. He pulled a couple of seconds closer to JC Perez last time around, but JC is up to speed here in this number 71 car.
Very curious. So Trent Hinman never came back out of the pit lane, and Damon Oakey has just come back out of the pits. So something going awry for the 09 car as well, the Canadian, who came in very well up in the championship standings. He was leading, was he not, Jeremy, when the race went green? Damon Oakey, championship leader in AM?
Yep.
What's going on there?
Yeah, really, yes. Obviously problems there.
Oof, gosh. So Sheena Monk is still the LB Cup leader ahead of Paris Mullins in the 88. And Paris came into the day with Mark Proto leading the LB Cup championship. They should maintain control of that because they had a quite comfortable cushion, having done every round of the championship and being the only drivers in that class who can claim that honor. JC Perez and Laura Spinelli lead Pro-Am on track and in the points. But they learned at Road America, if you don't finish, you don't score points. So winning the championship means you have to finish the races in order to score the points, especially with Randy Solari and Stephen McAleer as a confirmed duo for the remainder of the season.
New fastest lap again last time around for Taylor Proto in that car number 50 for US Racetronics, tracking down now JC Perez. Just what, 4 or 5 car lengths ahead toward the roller coaster with just under now 20 minutes remaining in this race.
He's right there. He can not only see the car ahead of him, he can smell the exhaust fumes. There's a lapped car that they're going to have to get around. That's Sheena Monk, the LB Cup leader, and she moves out of the way. Very respectful driving as well, but Taylor Proto sees the lead of the race and he wants it. Classified as a pro this year is Taylor Proto after winning 2 Lamborghini championships within the last couple of months. He got the Middle East Championship. He won the World Final in the Pro-Am class, and he won the Pro-Am class last year in his first ever attempt at racing. So it was a very impressive debut for Taylor Proto, who now is putting the hurt on JC Perez. 4/10 of a second between the leading duo. Proto doesn't need to get around Perez, but he wants it. The AM class leader, once things shake out, should be Brian Thenis, the 17. And man, for this pro and pro-am battle, at what point, Jeremy, do you get on the radio to the youngster Taylor Proto and say, you don't need to get around him, don't risk the car, you're already going to get the pro win, you're going to take the maximum amount of points, which will give you and Eduardo Piscopo the championship lead Don't throw that away.
No, don't make a mistake, but go for the win. There'll be no doubt about that. Taylor Proto is a youngster. He's just 20 years of age, originally from Barnet in North London, but makes his home now along with his father Mark, who drove the opening stint of the race in car number 88, by the way. He scored his first win last time out at Road America, first overall win, I should say. Also his first overall pole position there at Road America, which was translated into that victory. He will start on the pole, will Taylor Proto, for tomorrow's second race of the weekend. So as you say, you're absolutely right. His primary focus will be on championship points, but he'd love to get the win as well.
Yeah, when you dangle the carrot of winning overall, it doesn't matter what class you're running. Anybody wants that. Sure, you get a class win, but it's pretty cool when you can claim the overall win as well. Car 09 is going to be getting a penalty, a drive-through, because the engine was running during the pit stop. That is a big no-no. So that would have been, even though for the 09 car, Damon Oakey did not swap drivers. He did not get out of the car. It's still not a good thing. Corey Lewis is going really quickly. And the number 29 Lamborghini, third in the pro class right now, so he still has to catch back up to Brandon Godovic and get around him before he can even think about trying to hunt down Taylor Proto.
But he's a long, long way back. He lost a lot of ground on the previous lap for some reason, did Corey? Not quite sure why. But that was he came in, he was one of the last cars to make his pit stop. I think the other guys were able to change onto slick tyres earlier and therefore make up ground on him. I think that was a bit of a strategic miscue by several of these drivers. The guys that came in right away, that was definitely the right call to go on to slick tyres, but for some reason the number 1 car didn't do that and has not left the pit lane.
Well, just now showing up as being on an outlap, Jeremy, so Jonathan Chicotto finally registering. Lost 4 laps though. What the heck was going on? And almost a 12-minute stop for the number 1 team, and this is the team that won the championship the last 2 years running. I don't understand what's going on.
Well, no, clearly some sort of a major issue there during that pit stop. Maybe a wheel gun broke, or I don't know, the wheel fell off. Whoever knows, whatever it was a very, very, very lengthy pit stop.
Very strange. We'll have to find out after the race. Corey Lewis again puts in the fastest Sector 1 time. The guy who took the pole position for the pro class in tomorrow's race was proving that he is clearly the fastest man on the track, because he's racing against right now all the guys that he beat for the pole position honor. And purple Sector 1 and purple Sector 2. It's been that Sector 3 that's been catching him out every lap so far. JC Perez is doing a really good job to stay ahead of Taylor Proto. Gap has been hovering about 0.4 of a second as we are down to 15 minutes to go already in this race. So the 50-minute contest is down to just 15. And JC Perez just needs to hold on. So you figure they're running about just under 2 minutes a lap. So they've got about 8 laps to go.
Your fastest lap last time around. You said that Corey Lewis was on a good lap. Indeed he was. And a 46.9 now, and for Taylor Proto, he's tracking the lead here. But JC Perez, hats off to JC. Each of his last 2 laps have been a 1 minute 48.1 something. So within hundredths of a second. That's really good for somebody in a car that's this difficult to drive at this early stage in his career. Just his second season of racing for JC Perez in car number 71.
And in terms of our pole time coming into this race, it was a 1:43, so clearly the track has almost dried out. If we're getting back down to times that are about 1:46 in the case of Corey Lewis, and the car is a lot heavier now than they would have been for the optimum lap in qualifying, they still have quite a bit of fuel to burn off as we go into the last 14 minutes of this race. It's a different car, a different surface, and definitely not the perfect go out and set your qualifying time as best as you can tires anymore, because the Pirellis on these Lamborghinis have been abused for the last 37 minutes.
Well, yeah, I think most of them, they'll have changed tyres during that pit stop from wets to dries, I'm pretty sure.
Some of them weren't stationary very long, though, and they're not allowed the wheel guns over the wall, so I'm wondering if it would have been that quick to do the pit stops. If it would have been, I mean, they get the wheel guns, don't get me wrong, but they're not.
They're still on wet tyres, though.
But I wouldn't imagine with these sort of lap times they are, but it's just, I don't know. I can't actually tell from looking at the picture. In the last race that we just were privileged to call, I did go look over at some of the wet tires that had been run for a substantial amount of time, and they were virtually slicks after being on the car for about 30 minutes. So I don't know. I can't imagine somebody turning a 46 on wet tires when it's this dry.
There's no way, quite frankly. But again, another really good lap from JC Perez. He's not defending his position from Taylor Proto. He's just driving a really smart, sensible race here, and he's holding on to that lead. Very impressive.
Do you think he's broken off the rearview mirror at this point?
He might well have done. He's certainly been told by his team to just focus forward, not worry about what's going on behind him. Another lap, the last time around, he's coming up to compete another lap now, but the previous lap was 1:48.08, which is his and that car's fastest lap of the race, just a few hundredths quicker than his previous lap. This is exactly how you win a motor race.
It is. It's been a very good performance from JC Perez for sure. No one has been able to get around him on the track, and the changeover made from the pit stop was when they reclaimed the lead. They must have timed it just perfectly when they came in for their stop. Taylor Proto, though, not giving up, still looks pretty close. He's got a little bit of grass in the grill of that number 50 Lamborghini, though, the blue machine. And hopefully that's not overheating anything, and certainly wouldn't know it from the performance time from the sectors. Taylor Proto still flying as he goes personal best through the final sector on that last lap.
Yeah, but another, again, super consistent lap from JC Perez. His last four laps, 1:48.11, 1:48.18, 1:48.08, 1:48.15. That's, for a non-professional driver, that is seriously impressive.
It's metronomic, almost. You find many pro drivers who can't even accomplish that.
Absolutely.
Battle on track between Cameron Castles in the number 33 and Martin Barkey in the 67. Cameron Castles is still showing on our timing screen as the AM leader. Jeremy, is that right? Well,
yes.
Brian Thenis just got around him this last lap, so the battle on screen is actually for second.
He's been closing very, very quickly. Cameron Castles, he's running 56 and 7. Whether he didn't change tyres.
He mustn't have.
Maybe.
And now we've got Brian Thenis in the lead, and Martin Barkey, having gotten around Cameron Castles, has taken the second place in that number 67 machine that we saw spinning twice earlier on. But Brian Thenis, who has to deal now with Stephen McAleer, how is that possible? They're separated? Because Stephen is on a different lap. That's what's going on. Yeah, there's a good opportunity here for Brian Thenis to just focus forward, but Martin Barkey, who is another one of those drivers who is just out driving around, it's almost a dry track at this point, though. Martin Barkey has 4.7 seconds to try and catch up to Brian Thenis, and that would be for the AM class lead.
New fastest lap for our race leader last time around, JC Perez in car number 71.
1:47.8.
Hasn't managed to pull away from the second place car of Taylor Proto, but again, hats off, he's got a much slower car. Sheena Monk, who's right in the way. They go either side of her. Goodness gracious me. Sheena's really off the pace here. I don't know why. I think she must not have changed tyres either.
No, and this gave an opportunity, and JC Perez, who had to back out of it briefly, gave way. Taylor Proto did not, and Taylor Proto has now retaken the lead as they come through the S's. A pro car leads overall once again, and JC Perez now dropping like a stone behind Taylor Proto as Proto looks forward and does what JC Perez must have done before, puts the mirror down.
Yeah, and
Sheena tried to get out of the way, it looked like.
Really. No, and yeah, she was kind of in the middle of the road there, which you know, it's a difficult part of the racetrack there because the road kinks one way to the other. So she kind of kept her ground. She didn't push off either of them on either side.
Yep.
She did pretty much all she could do in that situation, quite frankly.
She can't push the button on the dashboard that says disappear.
Oops, there's JC. Is running a little bit too much speed.
Trying to make up for the mistake and goes off at roller coaster, and Brandon Godovic right behind Perez now. Godovic's going to get around that 71 machine, so from leading he's going to be third by the time the battle is all said and done. Brandon Godovic, who got his first win for the team, PPM Motorsports at Road America, driving with Shinya Mishimi. Don't know if he has anything for Taylor Proto today, but he certainly has enough to get into the second place. As JC Perez, just pushing a little bit too hard, went wide off the track coming through roller coaster, and that's a bumpy area to be going through off the course.
Yeah, and he's come on the road now, back on the road directly ahead of Brandon Godovic as they come through turns 4 and 5 here. Number 71 car now under intense pressure from Brandon Godovic, and he, in that car number 46, scored his first win a couple of weeks ago at Road America.
It is Corey Lewis in third in the pro category. Corey in the 29, who came in tied in the championship with the 50 of Taylor Proto and Eduardo Piscopo, while the 50 leads, and the 29 is in third in the pro category, so that would shift the points balance. For the first time this season, we would have new championship leaders in the form of Taylor Proto and Eduardo Piscopo. So that certainly would be something should we get to the end of the race, and that is the case. Brian Thenas, who had a terrible weekend at Road America to kick things off, looking for a huge points bounce back. If he wins the race and his championship rivals Ryan Hardwick and Damon Okier aren't even on the podium, that'll help his aspirations get back on course. He still has a long way to climb back up, but Martin Barkey and Cameron Castles finishing ahead of the other two certainly help his cause.
Very much will, and that'll be redemption for Brian Thenas, and tremendous work by that US Racetronics team. The US Racetronics, they lead now in certainly 3 of the classes. Yeah, 3 of the classes overall for Taylor Proto. That's the car number 50. That's US Racetronics. Brian Thenas in car number 17 is also US Racetronics, as is Paris Mullins, who's overtaken, who's now well clear of Sheena Monk, who's really struggling around there off the pace, although she just turning her best lap on this last lap for some reason. Not quite sure what's going on there, but Paris Mullins also for US Racetronics in car number 88 leads LB Cup.
Yeah, Sheena's best lap was at 2 minutes and 10 seconds, so she is the only one outside of the 2-minute bracket in terms of the fastest lap. We're at 6 minutes to go. Taylor Proto has a 5.5 second lead over JC Perez. He's got 6.7 seconds over Brandon Godovic and 25.5 seconds over Corey Lewis. So at this point, Taylor could put it back into cruise mode and just bring it home. He won't do that, of course, because he's a teenager, as you said, Jeremy, driving a 620-ish horsepower car.
Yeah, but looking for his second win in succession. Really impressed by this young man.
Yeah.
He's taken it very, very seriously. Does a lot of driver training with Eduardo Piscopo out in California at the Thermal Club out to the east of Palm Springs, and he's getting a lot of driving time, but he's making absolutely full use of it, driving beautifully for the last 2 weekends.
Very, very impressive is Taylor Proto, and he has not let up at all with a very good Sector 1 and Sector 2 time. He's still pushing on. And I suppose you can't relax the brain too much. You can't pull it back, because that's when you tend to make mistakes. So he is keeping his foot down. His lap time on 147.5 was quicker than the cars behind him. So still clearly trying to stretch out the lead a bit. Paris Mullins and Mark Proto in that number 88 LB Cup car, Jeremy, they'll be happy to get another win, because they've had interlopers to the series come in and steal the honors away from them the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, very true.
It was Brett Meredith who took a couple of wins, or 3 wins. Steve Dunn looked like he was going to be a force to reckon with at Road America as well. So for the duo in that number 88 machine to come back and get another win, they will be happy with that. Taylor Proto has a lot of traffic to navigate as they come up through the S's, and all of a sudden he's hit half the field at one point on the track, and he looks to the outside of Stephen McAleer, who gives him room. Going through Oak Tree now. And somebody runs way wide. Was that Martin Barkey? I think it was. No, it was Ryan Hardwick. Manages to pull it back on the course as they come through the S's. And the leader now going around Cameron Castles. Cameron's had a really good race. Got to give him credit. Whether it was the team doing some sort of strategy to leave him out there and to not change the wheels. Finishing third, a podium finish for Cameron. It would be his first of this series, so that would be a very good step. It would be a step in the right direction at the very least.
It certainly would. It certainly would. And I'm thinking they didn't change tyres during that pit stop. Most of the Wayne Taylor racing cars, I'm not 100% sure the regulations here. I'm presuming you can change tyres during the pit stops, but maybe you can't.
Normally you can't.
Yeah,
normally you have to you could check the tire pressures, but you can't actually change the tires.
So I'm wondering whether there's a bit more to this than meets the eye.
We'll have to do a bit of digging before round 2 of this weekend, which will be coming up tomorrow.
Because the other Wayne Taylor car of Stephen McAleer in car number 10, he's running way off his regular pace. He's been caught by Paris Mullins. That doesn't compute. Normally, Stephen would be about 4 or 5 seconds quicker a lap than Paris, but he's not. And that leads me to think that car also, which is from Wayne Taylor Racing, did not change tyres. The fastest lap of the race, though, on lap 23 for the number 29 change racing entry. That is Corey Lewis down into the 45s now.
Corey does have some sort of symmetry with this track. He's got a nice energy with this place, and he comes here with a certain comfort and feeling of, I can do this. Empowerment is what I would say is the look in Corey Lewis's eyes. So I'm not at all surprised that he is putting in fast lap after fast lap. It's a shame that he's so far back behind Brandon Godovic and JC Perez to not be able to challenge them for second place. But JC Perez right now has to worry about Brandon Godovic because it's only 3/10 between the two of them. Taylor Proto has set his sights forward as we are 1 minute and 20 seconds to go. Might be the white flag this time by, Jeremy?
Yes, it will be, absolutely.
And let's see as they cross the start-finish line. There it is. White flag is in the air. One more round of Virginia International Raceway for Taylor Proto, 3.27 miles. It's not too bad. 17 turns, and he's already gone through 2 of them. So the youngster, who has proven to be quite the force, not only this year but last year, give him keys to a Lamborghini, and he will go quickly on a racetrack, I should specify. I don't know what he does on the street, but I have been more than impressed with what Taylor Proto has been able to accomplish in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Series. This will make him, alongside Eduardo Piscopo, the championship leaders with, 3 rounds to go in the season? At least in the North American version.
Yes, plus the races in Italy to round off the championship, that's right. Because they are points scoring rounds.
Yep, and they will be going to that. Eduardo Piscopo and Taylor Proto venturing over there last year and becoming world champions in the Pro-Am category, beating out everybody else. So it was a very impressive performance from the two of them. And Taylor Proto with a 6-second lead. He's got about 1/3 of the track to go at this stage. Goes into braking for roller coaster, which is just so much fun. JC Perez still holding the 2nd position. He'll take the Pro-Am win if he can bring the car home. Doesn't have to worry about letting Brandon Godovic through. Even if he did, it wouldn't affect any points. But for Taylor Proto, all he's thinking is maximum points, maximum champagne, and another win for the number 50 crew. It's 2 in a row, Jeremy, and a very impressive performance from Taylor Proto and Eduardo Piscopo.
Yeah, beautiful drive there from both of those two. Eduardo Piscopo just minded his P's and Q's in the opening stages of the race. He fell back from 2nd to 4th, but the right strategy to make an early pit stop, get the car onto dry weather tyres, and then allow Taylor Proto to use his prodigious young talent and bring that car home to the finish. It wasn't easy for him though. He had to overtake JC Perez, and a very bold mover while some lap traffic was involved. A tremendous victory for the car number 50 of Taylor Proto and Eduardo Piscopo.
And congrats also to JC Perez, who takes home the Pro-Am win, and Paris Mullins and Mark Proto, who win in the number 88 in the LB Cup class. We wait as Brian Thenis comes back. He is in the last part of Sector 2, just now starting the last third of the lap in that number 17 Lamborghini. What a great story it is for Brian Thenis. It looks like his championship was over after a big crash at the end of race 1 at Road America. Not the case, though, as he has bounced back in a brand new car. It's not his colors, it's not the car that he is used to, but now it is a car that he loves because it is a winning one. He crosses the checkered flag and takes win at round 1 here at Virginia International Raceway. Congrats also to Martin Barkey and Shea Holbrook. They had a rough start to the race, the number 67 Lamborghini. They come home in second in the AM class, and Ryan Hardwick, who managed to get around Cameron Castles, will come home third, so he doesn't let Brian Thenis that much more back into the championship. He manages to save a bit of dignity.
Yeah, he did a good job. And Martin Barkey, what a great drive that was from him. He closed to within 1 second of Brian Thenis as they crossed the line there in the car number 67, taking over from Shea Holbrook, who drove a good first stint. Yes, she had a couple of spins, but she did a good job. And Martin Barkey was really turning some good laps after that. So he will finish in the top 6 overall and second in the AM class.
And what could have been for that number 1 machine of Jonathan Ciccato and of Trent Hinman. Have to find out what was going on there. So it is Taylor Proto and Eduardo Piscopo in the number 50 who will be happiest at the end of today. They don't have too long to celebrate, though, before they have to get back into the race car. Race 2 of the weekend starting at 10:25 tomorrow morning. So they get a little bit of party time tonight. They just can't indulge too much. That has to come tomorrow. Stephen McAleer and Randy Solari finished second in the Pro-Am class, and they do finish, so they score important points. We didn't have any non-finishers, so everybody here will get points. And Jeremy, for Taylor Proto and Eduardo Piscopo, any idea how big the lead should be now since they scored maximum points?
Yeah, it'll be Corey Lewis was in the 3rd position, so that'll be a 5-point gain. So it'll be a 5-point lead now for Piscopo and Taylor going into the 8th round of the championship tomorrow.
Well, that certainly was exciting. It started out as a very, very wet race, and by the end of it, the track is almost completely bone dry. You can put full slicks on the car and not worry about sliding off at random intervals. Congratulations to all of our race winners from the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Series Race 1 here at Virginia International Raceway. We will be back for even more Racing of the Bulls tomorrow. Thank you, Jeremy Shaw. I'm Shay Adam from IMSA Radio. We'll bring you more when the Lamborghinis are back out on the circuit.